see through the eyes of the Bosnian Serb gunners from their positions atop Mount Igman 20 years ago. The city stretched out below, naked and oh so vulnerable. From here, the Serb snipers created hell on the streets of the city. Howitzers and mortar shells rained down as weeks turned into months and months rolled into years. But it was the mortar attack on the crowded Makali market in February 1994. A single round killed 68 people and wounded more than 200, and that changed the course of the war, prompted the NATO airstrikes that brought an end to the conflict. Ismet Svraka still bears the wounds from that day.
I heard the explosion, but I couldn't feel anything. I fell to the ground and put my hands on my head, checking to see if I was alive. I was able to breathe, but I couldn't feel anything in my legs.
But who was responsible? The Office of the Weapons expert, Professor Berko Sečević, looks like a war museum. He testified at the trial of the Serb leader Radovan Karadzic, who had denied the attack was the work of his troops. Karadzic said so many casualties couldn't have been caused by a single mortar. Not so, Berko told me. The force of the explosion in such a crowded place was immense. The shrapnel ricocheted off the stone floor. That's why he said so many people died. The city bears the scars of the long siege with pride. These are Sarajevo's battle honors, a reminder not just of the suffering here, but also of the resilience and the determination of the people to survive. Survived, and today have prospered. The once empty, shattered streets, now home to Sarajevo's new cafe society. The city reborn, tourism has returned. Today there is a new generation that knows nothing of that war, and blessed with that take its place in a society where it's hoped the future will be more important than the past. Peter Sharp, Al Jazeera, Sarajevo.
Hundreds of thousands of students in the Canadian province of Quebec have been protesting over plans to raise university fees. Until now, they've been paying just over $2,000 a year. That's the lowest in Canada. Daniel Lack reports from Sherbrooke, south of Montreal.
They came from across Quebec to Sherbrooke, down by the U.S. border. Their message, a resounding no to planned tuition fee hikes. Well, this part of Canada already has the country's least expensive colleges. It's also the province with the largest public debt. But the students aren't giving ground.
There will be consequences if we stay on strike for a long time, you know, not only for us, but for them.
Listen to the students. Listen to the citizens. Listen to us. We have solutions to these problems, and we want to be heard.
For 7 weeks now, there have been class boycotts, demonstrations, and occasional angry confrontations with police. But mainstream student leaders say they want to keep it peaceful. Now they're targeting Quebec's unpopular government. With an election expected next year, the students are threatening to use their votes to keep tuition low.
They don't recognize the next generation, and they are doing some education politics that will have consequences for the 10 and 15 years to come, so you don't have to vote for them.
Tuition fees in Quebec are now half of Canada's national average, just over $5,000 for 4 years. Compare that with the United States, where the mean annual cost of a university degree is around $20,000, with some costing as much as $50,000. And with most of Western Europe, where countries offer free or almost free post-secondary education to their own citizens.
Quebec, because it's a francophone community, tends to look to Europe more than it looks to the United States. English Canada has over time increasingly looked to the United States, and tuition has started to go up in English Canada. But here in French Canada, there's much more of a European mindset where education is seen as a state's responsibility.
So far, the Quebec government isn't giving way, nor allowing the students to talk to them about their demands. And the protests do seem to be losing public support. Their approaches, the students face a stark choice. Keep on calling for cheaper tuition or go back to class and get the education they've already paid for. Daniel Lack, Al Jazeera, Sherbrooke.
Around 150,000 cases of cancer are reported in Pakistan every year. But despite the many medical facilities in the country, only one hospital has a suitable cancer treatment program. From Lahore, Kamal Haider reports.
It's another busy day at the Shaukat Khanum outpatient department as people wait their turn to meet the doctor, young and old, men and women. The hospital receives 400 to 500 patients every day from all over the country. Cancer treatment is expensive business around the world, and especially if you live in a country like Pakistan where most people live below the poverty line, they cannot afford it. Therefore, facilities such as Shaukat Khanum provide even the poor a ray of hope. Almost 75% of the patients here cannot afford the high cost of cancer treatment.
Shaukat Khanum stands for high quality care with access to everyone, especially the poor. Focus on education, both of healthcare professionals as well as others, and also research. These four threads make up what our mission is.
Shahzeb has been receiving treatment for blood cancer for the past 2.5 years and is showing signs of recovery. In a country where cancer meant a death sentence for the poor, there is now some hope.
My son was suffering from blood cancer, and I was not able to afford its cost. But one day I visited Shaukat Khanum and found it a blessing for my son, who was under treatment here for the last 2 years, free of charge. He has recovered a lot.
Not long ago, most people went to India or Singapore to get a scan, but this purpose-built hospital is now equipped with the latest state-of-the-art equipment. Almost 10,000 patients are treated here every year. The hospital plans to expand its capacity and build more such facilities around the country. In a poor country like Pakistan, this hospital has given new hope to many with cancer and set an example for the region. Kamal Haider, Al Jazeera, Lahore.
It's Good Friday, and the Christian holy day marking what the faithful believe was Christ's crucifixion and death. The pilgrims in Jerusalem held morning mass at the ancient church of the Holy Sepulchre. It's where Christians believe Jesus was crucified and buried before his resurrection on Easter Sunday. While Catholics and Orthodox Christians follow different calendars, this year their Easters coincide. And in the Pampanga province of the Philippines, devotees bloodied their backs with bamboo sticks to reenact Christ's suffering and atone for their sins. Catholic bishops in the Philippines have discouraged the practice in favor of more moderate rituals. For some children in Indonesia, getting an education can be a hazardous journey. Many have to wade across rivers and hike through forests just to get to school. Now a group of parents have launched an effort to try and get their kids back on solid ground. Seth Varson reports from West Java.
Take off the pants, hitch up the skirts. It's time to go to school. A river has to be crossed. This is how 40 children from a small village in West Java start their school day. Some need the help of their older brothers. Together they brace against the current. A bridge has never been built.
If there's been a lot of rain and the river is flooded, we can't go to school. It's too risky. We could drown.
This is seriously testing their motivation to go to school. Not only are they getting wet twice a day, they also have to hike through the forest for around 2 kilometers. They're already exhausted before they even start learning.
Children on average miss 2 days of school a week because of flooding. Hundreds of Indonesian children across the country are facing a similar ordeal every day. People have asked the government to build new bridges, but nothing much has happened. That's why volunteers have started a campaign to build 100 bridges in West Java alone.
Sepertinya protes terhadap pemerintah memang harus dilakukan dengan aksi nyata.
The best way to protest against the government is taking actions ourselves and showing them what should have been done. If we demonstrate on the streets with banners, they never listen. I call this...
Indonesia in the late 1990s gave local governments responsibility for infrastructure in villages, but the regulations are not always clear.
kabupaten itu pembagian kewenangan itu sudah jembatan yang akan dibuat itu sudah menjadi kewenangan kabupaten.
Is the national government responsible for building this bridge, or is it the provincial or district government? We will try to find out. If this bridge falls between two different villages, for sure the district authorities are responsible.
While the authorities have a battle on their hands, the children face a very different one, simply trying to get home safely from school. Step Vassen, Al Jazeera, Chimangu, West Java.
The U.S. Coast Guard says it sunk a so-called Japanese ghost ship over fears that it posed a danger to other boats. The Coast Guard opened fire on the derelict fishing vessel that had been washed up to sea by last year's tsunami. It had been drifting ever since. The Japanese owner did not want to salvage it, and a Canadian business that initially showed interest decided the ship was too badly damaged.